Will start on Friday and run until the 16th of January.
And the location of these exercises, and Iran just carried out joint military drills off the coast of South Africa.
Chinese, Russian and Iranian warships arrive at South Africa's ports for a week of naval exercises.
These drills will start on Friday and run until the 16th of January.
And the location of these exercises may matter more than the drills themselves. So let me explain why this is a bigger deal than it might sound at first. Three countries that are all feuding with the United States just brought warships thousands of miles from home to conduct exercises together in South African waters. And they did it at a place where the Indian Ocean meets the Atlantic, right next to one of the most important shipping routes on the planet. The drills started on January 10, 2026, and they're running for a full week. China is leading the exercise, which they're calling Will for Peace 2026. South Africa is hosting at Simonstown Naval Base, their main naval facility just south of Cape Town. Russia and Iran both sent ships, and officially, this is all about maritime security, protecting shipping lanes, and improving cooperation among BRICS plus nations. But let's be clear about what actually showed up. China deployed the guided missile destroyer Tangxian and the replenishment ship Taihu. Russia sent the corvette Stoichi from their Baltic fleet, along with the oiler Yelnya. Iran brought the forward base ship Makron and the patrol combatant Nagdi as part of their 103rd Flotilla. These ships traveled thousands of miles to get there. The Chinese vessels left from Qingdao back in October 2025. The Russian ships departed from the Baltic in October as well, sailing all the way down the west coast of Africa. Iran's ships made the journey from the Persian Gulf. That's not a casual commitment. That's a deliberate show of presence. And here's what they're doing once they're there. According to official statements, the drills include joint maritime safety operations, interoperability exercises, and maritime protection activities. China's defense ministry said the theme is joint actions to ensure the safety of shipping and maritime economic activities. South Africa's military described it as an exchange of best practices and improving joint operational capabilities. But if you read between the lines, what that actually means is these four countries are practicing how to work together far from their home waters. They're testing communications. They're coordinating movements. They're demonstrating that they can operate jointly in a region that matters strategically. Now, before we go any further, you need to understand where this is happening. Simonstown sits right at the southern tip of Africa, where the Atlantic and Indian Oceans meet. Just offshore is the Cape Sea Lane, one of the busiest shipping routes in the world. When the Suez Canal gets blocked or when access to the Red Sea is disrupted, ships reroute around the Cape. Oil tankers, container ships, bulk carriers, all of them pass through these waters. So when China, Russia, and Iran bring warships to this exact spot and conduct exercises for a week, they're not just training. They're sending a message about their ability to project power in a region that controls access between two oceans. And South Africa is right in the middle of this, which brings us to the really interesting part of the story. South Africa agreed to host this exercise under the BRICS Plus framework. BRICS originally stood for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Recently, it expanded to include Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The idea behind BRICS is to create a counterweight to Western economic dominance, to give developing nations more influence in global affairs. But here's the problem. Not all BRICS members are participating in these drills. Brazil isn't there. India isn't there. Saudi Arabia isn't there. The UAE was reportedly invited, but it's unclear if they actually sent ships. So calling this a BRICS Plus exercise is technically accurate, but it's really a much smaller group. It's China, Russia, Iran, and South Africa. Three countries under heavy Western sanctions and one country trying to walk a very thin line between East and West. South Africa's Democratic Alliance Party, which is part of the ruling coalition government, came out strongly against the exercise. They said calling it BRICS cooperation is misleading and that the government is choosing closer military ties with rogue and sanctioned states. They specifically criticized hosting Russia, which is currently waging war in Ukraine, and Iran, which is heavily involved in regional conflicts and faces international sanctions. But South Africa's military pushed back. They said the exercise was planned long before current tensions and that it was originally scheduled for November 2025, but got postponed because it conflicted with the G20 summit in Johannesburg. They insist this is about maritime security and regional stability, not about picking sides in global power struggles. Here's the thing though, South Africa claims to be non-aligned. They say they're not taking sides between the West and countries like Russia and China. But hosting this exercise, especially with Iran involved for the first time, sends a very clear signal about where South Africa's priorities lie. You can't host Russian warships while Russia is under Western sanctions for invading Ukraine and claim you're neutral. You can't welcome Iranian naval vessels while Iran is supporting militant groups across the Middle East and cracking down on protesters at home and say you're just focused on maritime security. And the timing makes it China, Russia,